Welcome back, another episode. In the 5th episode of Manhunt, Secretary of War Edwin Stanton finally got a break in the pursuit of Booth, which sent both men racing toward a decisive showdown close to the Virginia border. Episode 5 redirected attention from the Confederate conspiracy theory that could have been the cause of Booth's actions to the real search for Booth and the post-Civil War political environment in the United States. Stanton and his friends track hints to Booth's location all the way up to Montreal, where they finally discover the last bit of knowledge they need to accurately retrace Booth's steps. The Work of Tobias Men in Manhunt Episode 5, Edwin Stanton squares up against President Andrew Johnson, the apparent heir to Abraham Lincoln. Johnson is more focused on appeasing Confederate leaders and reintegrating them into the fold than Stanton is on ensuring that Reconstruction plays out as his good buddy Abraham Lincoln intended. In contrast to the real Mary Sims, Manhunt's Mary Sims keeps up the narrative of the just emancipated African Americans and how they suffered in the months and years that followed Lincoln's death, mostly at the hands of Andrew Johnson. After an unintentional detour back into Maryland, John Wilkes Booth and his accomplice David Herold finally arrive in Virginia in Manhunt Episode 5. Fortunately, they come across the bodies of multiple Confederate soldiers while traveling by sea. They take possession of the men's uniforms and use them to fit in with the large number of soldiers returning home after the Civil War's fighting has ended. The two men arrive at a ferry crossing after forcing a released man and his son to stay in their home and be transported by them at gunpoint. Boston, or Thomas H. Corbett, is a regular soldier in the Union Army who is based in the Virginian Potomac River region. Corbett was a devout man, as demonstrated in Manhunt Episode 5, having founded the church following the loss of his wife during childbirth. Known as the Mad Hatter by his fellow soldiers, Corbett worked as a milliner, or hat maker, before the war. At the end of the episode, Corbett offers to lead the charge to Booth's location after Edwin Stanton gives the order for soldiers in the region to look for Booth. The fact that Corbett is mentioned is not by accident. The real Boston Corbett is the soldier who shot Booth when he was being held captive. Although Booth didn't die instantly, his wounds caused him to pass away soon after. Instead of portraying Corbett as a random soldier, the quick look into his past in Manhunt Episode 5 gives significant role in Booth's capture, some complexity, and an intriguing past. The majority of Manhunt Episode 5 is devoted to analyzing President Andrew Johnson's demolition of Abraham Lincoln's Reconstruction plan. Johnson spoke with numerous Confederate leaders early in the episode, demonstrating his sympathy for their predicament as a former slave owner who was born and reared in the South. Abraham Lincoln was concerned with bringing the nation back together and making sure that freedmen and women could effectively reintegrate into society, whereas Johnson was either apathetic toward or deliberately hostile to aiding African Americans. In the 5th episode of Manhunt, Andrew Johnson explicitly threatens to fire Stanton because the secretary is determined to carry out Lincoln's Reconstruction plan. On the advice of his son and deputy, Thomas Eckert, Stanton yields to Johnson in order to hold on to his position of authority, which permits him to keep trying to sway Johnson. Johnson is aware that Stanton's disagreement poses a threat to his presidency, as he is one of Lincoln's final major allies. The actual Mary Sims, who testified against the genuine conspirator Dr. Samuel Mudd at his trial after Booth's capture, was crucial in bringing him down. She is given much more importance in Manhunt Episode 5, as she directs Stanton to the boot bearing Booth's initials, which serves as evidence of Mudd's relationship with Booth. She gives testimony as Mudd is taken away, stating that he was not only aware of John Wilkes Booth's identity but also had communication with him before Booth showed up at his house following the murder. Manhunt encapsulates the essence of Mary Sims' actual significance, even though the events transpire differently than they did in history. For more videos, subscribe.